Highguard, obviously the most anticipated game pretty much honestly ever. Only Marathon can probably match the hype at this point. I am excited about Highguard as much as I am excited about the prospect of becoming Patient Zero and getting AIDS at the same time. Highguard is gonna be a legendary tier disaster. I mean, nothing gets people more excited than a race-swapped King Arthur mythos with poor old shooter mechanics that tries to rip off Overwatch while Overwatch has already been dethroned by Marvel rivals. Which is still a thing, by the way. And they're doing good, by the way, which is incredibly amazing. Yes, Highguard is gonna be, well, another Concord, let's be completely real. Highguard is just another Concord situation.
This is not normal, y'all. I've never seen a game marketed like Highguard or, completely lack in marketing, especially this coming from a brand new studio and an IP that has still yet to prove itself. And I've already talked about Highguard before, but it feels like as we get closer and closer to launch, the situation surrounding this just feels worse and worse. Now, Highguard, for those who don't
Oh, really? How did you figure that out?
know, was announced back at the Game Awards 2025, and it has not been met with a whole lot of fanfare. And that has in large part to do with the fact that it was announced as like the big showstopper at the Game Awards. It was the big finale, and that slot is usually reserved for something that is a lot more established, that generates a lot more hype, rather than something that is brand new from an unknown studio and a game that is yet another, hero shooter that is something that a lot of people feel a little fatigue over given how many live services there are out there right now. Now, this game does come from developers who worked on Titanfall and Apex Legends, and that's how Geoff Keighley tried to hype it up.
Yeah, that's wow. Apex Legends, you're telling me? Oh boy, yeah, that checks out for wokeness. Half of the characters in Apex Legends, by the way, are trans or gay at this point. So have fun with that.
But that's not enough on its own to.
But honestly, a black gay King Arthur, now that's some real potential right there.
Make Highguard.
The modern audience, all three of them are gonna absolutely love it. Still not gonna buy it, but they're gonna love it, okay? The virtue signaling is gonna be pretty big.
The big finale and justify that, especially because the game does not really resemble what people really want out of such developers, which is a spiritual successor to Titanfall, a series that has long remained dormant and done so for far too long. And so the disappointment in the way it was announced as the big finale and that it ultimately turned out to be yet another hero shooter, and it almost resembles Concord in the way the reception has been so negative and the lack of interest. It's all generating a narrative that Highguard just doesn't feel like it's primed to be a massive success. And one of the things that people highlight is that the game comes out on January 26th, 2026, which is
That's 5 days from the moment of making this video. That is not a lot of time, and no one is hyped about this, okay? Boys, what are our predictions for Highguard? 2K player peak on Steam? Generous and maybe 4K player peak on Steam? Hard to say. I honestly should establish some correlation between IGN views, dislikes, and like ratio, and player numbers for these types of games, because there definitely is a correlation there. I'm just still lazy to figure it out currently.
soon. And since the game's announcement, it's gone radio silent. We have not seen a single post from the Highguard developers since its announcement, to the point where people took notice of this. 3 weeks prior to its launch on January 6, 2026, Jake Lucky here highlighted how the game launches in less than 3 weeks, and there's been no post on social media, despite likely having paid a lot of money to debut their game at the Game Awards, and especially at that coveted slot of, the big finale. And then 2 weeks prior to launch on January 12th, 2026, Dexerto made it a point to highlight that Highguard haven't posted on social media since the reveal trailer at the Game Awards. The game is set to release in 2 weeks. And this is something that...
Are we going to see some kind of magical cancellation at the last minute? Maybe.
Has been prominently brought up.
Can we achieve a ginormous meme style "It's Morbin time" situation with Highguard? Hopefully.
Up by numerous media outlets because this is really abnormal for a game to market itself like this, which is with no marketing at all. There has to be an extreme level of confidence to not engage in marketing so shortly before your games.
Extreme level of confidence. Oh, Yong, you poor dear summer child. Stick to trying to ruin voice acting, okay? Leave the actual conversations about what's reasonable and what's not to the adults.
Release.
AK, probably not me, but I will chip in.
And then that brings us to more recently on January 19th, 2026, people highlighted that despite the game now being only 1 week away from launch, there's been 0 social media posts. And you can check this yourself. If you say go to Highguard's Twitter page right now, you'll find that its most recent post was from December 11th, 2025, which was the announcement trailer for the game. If you go to Highguard's YouTube channel, you'll find that if you check out their videos, it's just the official reveal trailer, not a single additional bit of content, not a single additional bit of information about the game.
Yeah, I mean, considering, dude, look at this. 1.5k subscribers, and that's not a lot. That's not a good conversion rate, honestly. Especially if you're trying to gauge how much people are interested in your game. Now, obviously, no one's interested in Highguard, but still, man, it's not looking good.
Like, there's no, like, big gameplay overview trailer to try to highlight.
And boys, pat yourselves on the back because we were right. I mean, being right about Highguard is honestly not the greatest achievement of my life, needless to say. But hey, we were right about something again. That Highguard was dead on arrival, and I think honestly everyone kind of knows that at this point. Like, it's again, we just need to figure out how little players are there gonna be. 2k peak player base, 3k, 4k, maybe 5. Oh, we're getting into the big numbies.
Like some of the more, potentially unique aspects of Highguard as a hero shooter. They're relying on the official reveal trailer that has been so negatively received to carry the whole marketing of the game. And I don't know how that's going to fly. Even on their official website, all we'll find is this countdown right here, 8 days until launch. That's as of the recording of this video, just a little over.
I mean, countdowns make neurons activate and almonds milk produce.
For a week before its release, but no updates on the website providing additional information to try to get people hyped for a game that they're very skeptical.
Bro, why do I need additional information about Highguard? I have all the information I need just from looking at the art what we're seeing here, okay? That's all the information I need, okay? Pattern recognition activated, and I recognize that this is a tragedy.
About. And then this whole situation surrounding Highguard gets even worse when you realize how easily this could have potentially been prevented, or at the very least, the damage been mitigated.
Yeah, you just needed to not make a game, and there you go. Crisis averted, technically.
There's a general belief right now that it was the Highguard developers who decided to pay top bill to be featured as the big finale of the Game Awards 2020.
Oh, I have heard this. I think we heard this from Yong the last time. So he made up some bullshit, and now he's trying to establish that this was actually everyone's idea. Now, even if you pay top dollar for getting the Game Award spot as Highguard, I mean, the Twitter is free, okay? You don't need to pay for the Twitter. You can just keep posting on the Twitter anyway. But they're not doing that, or, well, anything.
5. And we have seen reports before that it can cost quite a bit to feature your game trailer at the Game Awards. So, for example, right here, a game developer article highlighted a report from Kotaku stating that the Game Awards trailers can cost developers up to $1 million to be featured. A 60-second trailer can reportedly cost up to $450,000, with a 3-minute trailer costing over $1 million. With Highguard's reveal from the trailer to Geoff Keighley's announcement being closer to like a little over 4 minutes, people imagine that the Highguard developers paid a couple millions to get that slot. But as it turns out, this decision didn't originate from the Highguard developers. It was actually an offer that was made to them. That's at least based on a report by Paul Tassi from Forbes, who tweeted the following recently, quote, "Have learned that Highguard did not actually pay for the Game Awards finale slot. Was just the show putting it there. It was just Geoff Keighley who decided that, he wants to feature this game as the finale." Paul Tassi apparently heard...
Well, Geoff Keighley thinking that Highguard is a good game does check out, to be honest.
This from multiple sources. In his article, he said that 2 separate sources have told me that Highguard did not have to pay for that hugely coveted spot at all. Reportedly, showrunner Geoff Keighley just really liked the game and offered it to them. And furthermore, he's not the only individual who's heard this. Imran Khan, who's also a games journalist, apparently...
God, I mean, look at this. This character, it's completely off. I can't even tell if he's fat or not. Like, the proportions, what... How did you make this? I'm not an artist, but I could make this better. Like, maybe we need AI so it can make, at least somewhat better looking characters.
Heard that Highguard didn't need to pay for the spot. And this is essentially Paul Tassi corroborating Imran Khan's report, who kind of reported on this first. Now, I would imagine that this was something that Geoff Keighley discussed with the developers, and the developers were thrilled to get such a coveted slot for free. But the origin of Highguard being featured as the big finale was seemingly, the Game Awards, or, Geoff Keighley, who gets to have a big say in how things are presented during that awards ceremony and that showcase. There are other rumors and reports floating around, like this individual saying, "I've heard it was not the original plan to feature Highguard as the big finale. The original game got delayed and they didn't put it up. So Geoff asked them if they wanted the final slot, and they said yes." So yeah, Geoff thought they were good enough to put last, but still left the decision up to them. And, that to me does make sense. I'm not sure how accurate such reports are, but that sounds about how things would play out. But I think in Geoff Keighley making that offer, it ultimately doomed the marketing of Highguard. Because sure, a lot of people laid eyes on Highguard, but what it turned into ultimately was mass ridicule.
Okay, honestly, tell me, what do you think is better? A game that's slop and everyone knows it's slop and no one's gonna buy it? Or a game that's slop and no one's gonna buy it anyway, but no one knows it exists? I mean, honestly, the first one is more appealing. The idea that Highguard would succeed if it didn't have marketing is just preposterous. Bad games, bad things don't succeed for very simple reasons.
Ridicule online rather than something that people really became highly anticipant about. There's this saying that goes, "There's no such thing as bad publicity," but I would argue that is absolutely not true, especially in the realm of gaming. Gaming takes up so much of people's time and, with monetization, money that they can only dedicate to so many experiences. And so, yeah, bad publicity for a live service that will ask you to dedicate dozens upon dozens of hours throughout the course of, days, weeks, months, maybe even years, can be lethal for a live service. And we have seen this happen time and time again with all the live services that ultimately ended up flopping and shutting down and disappeared from the face of the earth. Like, it requires a special level of like, oh, wow, that looks really cool, for people to detach themselves from the live service that they already play to engage with this new one. And that reveal trailer, unfortunately, just...
Oh, wow, I didn't think we were gonna have an opinion like this anymore. This was the old opinion. This was a popular opinion like 10 years ago, and I agreed with it 10 years ago. People needed, at that point, to be convinced that they should quit and play the new game. But that's no longer the thing, I feel like. I think people are like, oh, there's this new thing coming out. Are you trying it? Yes, if it looks good. And people try it, they play it for a month, for 2, for 3, and then they go back to the thing that they were playing before if they get bored. That's how these things work. No longer do you need to convince people to try a new thing. If something just looks good, people are gonna play it, and then they're gonna quit, and then they're gonna do whatever they feel like it. It's not... There is no way to keep people playing your game constantly, because every game nowadays offers the same exact thing. Previously, I think the games industry hugely sacked itself over the head with this by doing the thing that, oh, everyone gets free stuff constantly now in the game. When every game gives you free stuff, it's no longer special. Previously, games didn't give you free stuff. So the game that you were playing and you got like a lot of stuff in it, yes, you had some cost sunk fallacy working there. But you had spend time, you had things, and you didn't want to quit playing because you had invested so much time, and you had all of these cool things that you can't get otherwise. But nowadays, that's not the thing, because every game is gonna literally shower you with a billion, quadrillion free shit. So it doesn't feel special. So that's why people are just dropping games left, right, and center and going playing the hot new thing for at least a month or two if they want. Because there is no attachment to any type of game now, because it it no longer exists. The games industry have ruined that.
Didn't do a good job at that, and it being saved for the final slot raised expectations sky high, and this trailer never had a chance to meet that expectation because nobody knows what Highguard is. It's a brand new IP. Yes, it was made by Titanfall developers and Apex Legends developers, but this game doesn't resemble what people love from those developers. And it happens to be a genre that people have fatigue over, that has not generally been received well, with this kind of having a similar like marketing cycle to Concord, to the point where people are literally calling this Concord 2. So yeah, plenty of people are expressing bafflement online, saying Geoff Keighley honestly thought that was the best spot. And that goes doubly true when you consider that Highguard could have been placed earlier in the show, and one of the previous announcements would have made for a much better big finale, like Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic, or, Control Resonant, whatever. Any one of those more well-known IPs and studios could have made for a big finale that is worthy of that spot, that, potentially meets people's expectations of what that big finale should be. And many people are in agreement, which is why we're seeing comments like Geoff turning...
Is anyone actually... am I the only one who didn't watch the Game Awards in expectancy of some kind of magical final big thing? I mean, I didn't watch the Game Awards in general, but, I mean, I'm not exactly thinking of the Game Awards and being like, oh, the last trailer's gonna be the big one. No, not really.
Highguard from a quiet flop to a nuclear disaster is so funny to me, like, pointing to
Christina Tasty, this is an unhinged lunatic.
Someone in the crowd who pissed themselves. This garnered tons of views and likes. Someone down here is also talking about how there were so many other announcements that came before Highguard that, they could have swapped places with, and it would have made for a much better big finale, a much better overall show.
I completely disagree with these opinions. Are you seriously implying that Highguard is not succeeding because it was the last trailer, not the first one? Like, bro, I'm sorry, but this feels like an absolute insult to me. Are you saying I dislike Highguard just because it was the last trailer? Are you saying I would actually be ecstatic and super happy about Highguard if it was the first trailer, if it didn't show at all? Like, give me a break. I hate these people. I absolutely hate these out-of-touch individuals who have no idea how the world functions and what people are even like. Like, who here thinks... Honestly, leave a comment if you think that, oh, why would I actually love Highguard if it wasn't the last trailer in the Games Awards? That ruined it for me. Like, there's not a single individual in the world who believes that. Like, god damn, Young. Stop trying to pretend that you're one of the boys. You're not. You're an out-of-touch millionaire. Wow, Asmongold is more in touch with reality, and he has never held a job.
And it would have allowed Highguard to not be lambasted for taking up the big finale spot and not living up to that hype. I feel like if that's how things would have taken place, then Highguard would have been given a bit more benefit of the doubt, though I still think there would have been a general sense of disappointment of, oh, this is a game from the devs who worked on Titanfall, only to get like a hero shooter that, don't get me wrong, like gameplay-wise, it does look sleek. It's got mobility and...
Yes. Highguard gameplay looks sleek, boys, okay? You heard it here first. Okay, that's it, Young. I can't. Go into the shame corner and feel bad about your life choices. That was YongYea. Bye.